Hi everyone, it's James here from Pro Tools Expert with a quick gear review on two pieces of kit you really might want to try out. What you can see here is my idea of a multi-microphone recording. Basically, how I like to check out mics when I'm recording a new vocalist. Great idea to try and use loads of different mics, but let's face it, planet reality dictates. Generally, we go for what we know and we go for what we like. But sometimes what we know and what we like might not necessarily work with that particular vocalist. So you end up with this scenario here, loads of different XLR plugs going into and out of your stage box system to run into your particular chosen preamp. Not exactly clever, not exactly pretty, having to keep reaching for mute buttons and mute pots and turning down gains and changing gain structures. Very, very annoying, very time consuming. Enter a very, very natty little box from Radial called the Gold Digger. This is basically a 4-in, 1-out mic splitter, mic combiner if you will. 4 different mic inputs, phantom power and a trim control on each, and you can see on the back the input for each of the mics and a single output. So my output goes off to my preamp, which is obviously linked to my Pro Tools rig, and my 4 individual microphone inputs. Again, these are individually phantom powered, and they have an individual trim pot pre the gain pot on your bike pre. Turn that round, and using the switches, I can flick between the 4 mics really easily. So I get a really clear idea of which of the 4 mics I've set up is right for the vocalist I'm working with. Very, very handy, very quick, really, really easy to audition which mics you're using. So, I've chosen my mic, and in this case I'm going to use a Sontronic Saturn, but another thing we bang on about all too often is mic pre's. And there are thousands out there, and I'm lucky enough to have 1 or 2 in my rack. Now again, it's time consuming, fiddly, and it can slow the session down something chronic if you're reaching around the back of racks, changing patch bays, changing this, changing that. It's time consuming, it's slow, it's disruptive, and more to the point, who can really be bothered? But often the right pre is so important for a particular vocalist. Enter the cherry picker. This is the absolute opposite from the Gold Digger. It's a 1-in, 4-out box. 4 different outputs, each with their own ground lift, phantom power supply which you can send to the mic, and an all mute button, which is very, very handy. On the back of the unit, as you'd expect, 1 mic input and 4 mic outputs. So let's connect those up. And my outputs to my 4 pre's that I've chosen to go between. There we go, all 4 connected. And I can now switch between those and work out which one I like best. Both units are beautifully made in solid little steel boxes, really sweet, have their own power supply, great units. So that's the Cherry Picker and the Gold Digger by Radial. 2 very well put together little boxes, really, really useful, very handy. Has to be said, they are not the cheapest switching units I've ever seen. However, the cool thing about these are the switches are all transformer balanced, which means you don't get any bangs or pops or thumps when you go between the different inputs or outputs, which has obviously pushed the price up. The circuits on the inside have obviously been very well thought out, very well put together. Radial stuff is always next to bomb proof, so I have absolutely no hesitation in saying check these out. Very, very useful little pieces of kit. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope to see you again soon for another gear review.